I began exploring my thesis by thinking personally. I questioned what I think about on a daily basis. I wanted to find the driving force for my thesis truly within myself. The common theme I found was systems. I focused in on natural systems as our planet has created these energy processes, so all the kingdoms on this planet can naturally depend on one another without outside forces. I believe this closed energy loop is key in understanding how to cure this planet. This led me to the kingdom of fungi. I easily became enamored by the recycling properties that fungus takes on through decomposition. I did these drawings in a large sketchbook to fully understand the microbiology of fungi. I then started this table model of the fungi system, starting with a ground plan to highlight fungi's role below versus above ground. Below fertile ground lives mycelium. Mycelium infuses all of our landscapes together. This net-like structure grows rapidly. Your foot would cover around 300 miles of mycelium. The net structure creates a multi-directional transfer of nutrients between fungi, plants, and some insects. The mycelium provides water and minerals while roots provide photosynthesis sugars. Looking above ground, I fell in love with these oyster mushrooms. There are many studies involving oyster mushrooms specifically around pollution. Mushrooms are natural air filters, but oyster mushrooms specialize in breaking down dead elements and quickly reviving the soil. I've explained here on this slide an experiment done on oil spill land. They inserted mycelium into the soil, and after 6 weeks, the pile was completely covered in oyster mushrooms and also created an ecological safe haven with bugs and plants. I saw this as a great way to revive heavily polluted areas, specifically by air and land pollution. I started a second layer on my model exploring fungi as architecture. Looking at the oyster mushrooms in its palette forms, I whittled down these wooden pieces. The architecture follows the interlocking traveling beauty found in the oyster mushroom. Relating to the mycelium network below ground, the architecture is connected and kept alive through the below ground systems like sewage and water lines. This led me to exploring some typologies, questioning big box stores, urban plan in Miami and Detroit, and even a possible resurrection of Chernobyl since fungi can thrive in radiation. I landed on Detroit since it's a suffering area specifically from every form of pollution. Exploring Google Maps, I found this completely gray island. Zug Island is on the southern limits of Detroit in between the Detroit River and River Rouge. This land is completely contaminated from an industrial history starting with blast furnaces in 1901. The island currently houses piles of coal fuel waiting to be burned, and iron is also manufactured there for US Steel. The neighboring community faces residual effects labeled the deadliest zip code in Michigan from the abnormally high levels of toxicities in the air. The neighboring industries causing this pollution are all Fortune 500 companies, so asking them to change their ways is a waste of our time. So I've proposed using fungi as a systematic model to revive a portion of this toxic land, and additionally providing a model to enhance the community along with the island. Phase 1 enhances the mycelium within the ground. Spores will be released into the ground, and quickly the mycelium and fungi will do its job of revitalizing the toxic land, and with the cleaner land will come cleaner air. Then in phase 2, A to Z structures are introduced, creating cross-program buildings to revitalize the community of River Rouge. I've created these posters to explain the A to Z structures in their paired program. As the structures combine, they create buildings. Crossing the programs combine identified by the letter, this recycles the original community by taking basic community elements and blending them to create a new, repurposed, revitalized district. My thesis has become an architectural system based on fungi that can be applied in other toxic areas. So I've proposed examples of how these A to Z structures will revitalize Zug Island here in these drawings. And I hope to have a perspective of Zug Island.